Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be all about the Wednesday show on Netflix. I really liked the show, and I have some conspiracy theories surrounding season 2, and I figured a lot of you guys are super into it and have been asking me to talk about it, so let's do it. I was actually really into this Wednesday show. I thought it was really good. I think Jenna Ortega did a great job playing Wednesday. It was really cool. It was just really well done overall, and I think a lot of people are obsessed with it. I would be absolutely floored if it didn't get a season 2. Incredibly shocked. I've seen lots of theories on what is going to be happening in season 2, and I wanted to touch on them and also talk about some of my own theories of what I think is going to happen. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first theory I want to talk about, I've been seeing all over TikTok and the internet in general, and it is about Tyler's mom. So as we know from the show, it says that Tyler's mom is dead because she just couldn't deal with the fact of being an outcast and being a Hyde, but a lot of people conspirize that perhaps she's not actually dead and that she is this woman that we see in the beginning of the season. I remember thinking that this woman looks scary, but when you put 2 and 2 next to each other, she does have similar eyes to the Hyde. And I think that's where people are kind of getting this theory from. The theory basically goes that Tyler's mom never actually died, but she actually just went into hiding so that she can keep an eye on Tyler. I think that this makes a lot of sense. You think that you could have passed on this Hyde gene to your kid. You would want to kind of keep an eye on things, but she felt like she couldn't control the Hyde of herself, so she went into hiding. I think that this is an interesting theory, and then of course she notices while she's watching Tyler how close he is getting to Wednesday. She also notices how Wednesday is getting really close to figuring out the truth, and that's why people believe that perhaps Tyler's mom is Wednesday's stalker at the end of the season. I don't know if I believe that. We're gonna talk about some theories as to who Wednesday's stalker is. The first point that I think is important to note is that all over the internet, people are talking about how when Wednesday is driving home from Nevermore, it appears that Lurch has changed. Lurch in the beginning of the show had a glassy eye, and in this scene where Wednesday's being driven home from Nevermore, looks completely different. Like, it's obviously the same actor, same character, but he doesn't have the glassy eye, and honestly, it's his vibe that's overall different from me, which is what I think is interesting about it. Because the glassy eye, I guess they could have forgot to add that. Doubt that, like, you know, a show like this is very meticulous. It's gonna not have things that are coincidental like that. So I do think that this is an important point. A lot of people believe that perhaps that this person is not actually Lurch and that it is someone who is shapeshifting. And we know that Principal Weems is a seasoned shapeshifter, but we saw her die. I don't think that Principal Weems is gonna be dead. I just feel like her character has so much more to give for the show. I can't really imagine them actually killing her off, or if they did, she's gonna have a significant role in flashbacks, I would assume. Principal Weems just definitely has something else going on, and I'm really excited to see where they take her storyline because I do not think it's anywhere near over. People believe that Principal Weems actually faked her death and is shapeshifting in order to stay incognito. I do believe this to an extent. I definitely think that she's not actually dead. I don't know if she's shapeshifting. Why she wouldn't just say that she didn't die after Miss Thornhill, aka Laurel Gates, is dead at the end, although that's a question in itself. I think it would be interesting if the drive home from Nevermore is where Principal Weems decides to reveal herself to Wednesday. I guess we pick up exactly where we left off at the end of the season. She reveals herself to Wednesday and tells her that she's trying to figure out maybe there was a part of a bigger plan with Laurel Gates and Tyler, and that it's not really over yet, which I believe is true and we'll talk about later. So we see at the end that Wednesday is kind of in danger and she is being stalked by someone. We will again go into later who that could be, but perhaps Principal Weems is aware of this, and that is why she is shapeshifting to basically be a professional lurker and figure out who this person is that is going to put Wednesday in harm's way. I also think that it's really strange to note that Morticia, Gomez, and Pugsley were not there to pick Wednesday up from school. I just feel like this would be so unlikely. Like, the whole family went to drop her off. I'm sure they would be super excited for her to come home. I just can't imagine a scenario where they wouldn't come with Lurch to pick her up. It's just weird, and I do feel like it will be significant at some point in the series. Let's go into the details of who Wednesday's stalker could be. As we saw, she was getting all these text messages at the end of the season, and I have some theories as to who this could be. Okay, let's go into the first theory that I don't like but is very popular on the internet right now, and people think that Enid is actually Wednesday's stalker. The only real evidence towards this is that perhaps Enid has just like some type of secret vendetta against Wednesday. I think that people really bring out the emoji conversation a lot because Enid was explaining emojis to Wednesday, and then the stalker is using emojis in their text to Wednesday, so they think that this could be Enid. I do not think so, and I honestly really hope they don't go that direction because that would kind of suck, in my opinion. I just think Enid and Wednesday are a power dynamic, and I don't want Enid to be the bad guy. That would suck. So, I don't know, but a lot of people seem to think that that could be true, just because I feel like expect the unexpected, and honestly, I'm so embarrassed to admit this because I feel like in a lot of times I'm watching TV shows, I feel like I'm pretty on par with like what I think is going to happen or what I think is actually happening, but honestly Wednesday blindsided me. I had no clue. I would have, the teacher, like, yeah, like I would have guessed Christina Ricci, aka Miss Thornhill, aka Laurel Gates. I could probably come up with that scenario on its own. But I will say I had no idea that Tyler was the Hyde. Like, no idea. Even when Wednesday had the vision when she kissed Tyler that he was the Hyde, I was like, your visions can be messed up based on emotions. And obviously she had feelings for him. And I don't know, I just liked him, so I was sad to see that. I didn't think it was Xavier either, but I don't know. I'm upset. Did anyone else think it like right away that Tyler was the bad guy? Like, I just didn't get that vibe. Another popular theory about who Wednesday's stalker could be is none other than Ajax. People think that either he's a stalker or that he has bad vibes in general, mostly because Enid starts to wolf out whenever they're together, like her claws come out, and they think that this is a sign that she deep down suspects that something is off with Ajax. I think it's a possibility. It's definitely an interesting point. How I saw it though is that like this is her first little boyfriend moment. She's nervous and like that's why her defense mechanism is coming out, because she's like nervous. I don't know, that's just how I saw it, but I could definitely see this being an interesting point, especially because he's obviously a part of the Nightshades, so he has access to a lot of information that could benefit him. A lot of people also believe that Sheriff Galpin, aka Tyler's father, is the stalker. I think that's too predictable in my opinion. It makes sense why he would be, but again, predictability in this show, I just feel like it's not going to be so predictable. So a lot of people also believe that it could be Bianca or have something to do with her mother, because her mother came in and was like, you need to help us, you need to come back with us, and she said, I will help you if you let me wait till the end of the school year. But then Bianca talks to Wednesday about seeing her next year, so I'm not really sure. I think there's definitely some interesting things that are going to come out from Bianca and her mother in the next season, but I don't think that it's related to the stalker. I feel like it seemed like Bianca and Wednesday really had a connection towards the end, so I just don't think Bianca's the bad guy. However, I guess sirens are known to be making people fall under their spells, but I don't know. I think that she's good. The final person that I think could be Wednesday's stalker, which is the one that I believe most, is that it's going to be a whole new character. I think that someone will come into play in the next season and be really important, maybe even be a protagonist in our eyes. We're gonna think they're super cool and then find out later that they were Wednesday's stalker. I just think that this is probably the most ideal possibility because I don't really see any of the other characters being the stalker. I saw a lot of people saying that Yoko could be the stalker, which I guess makes sense. She was acting a little suspicious around Wednesday, but I just think it's like a boring theory. I think it's gonna be someone completely new. Next theory we're gonna be talking about is who was taking Tyler at the end. So obviously at the end of the season, we see that Tyler is still alive and he is still the Hyde. He like turns into the Hyde. Really creepy. Do not like the Hyde thing. It really freaks me out. But either way, we see that he's alive and he's all chained up. And I guess at first I suspected that he was taken by the authorities, but I think that that actually makes very little sense. Because obviously we know by now that the authorities do not fuck with the outcasts. Like, we are very well aware of it. We've seen it in history and we've seen it repeat itself when this is Thornhill. So it's very obvious to me that the authorities do not want to be anywhere near them, and they would probably have just killed Tyler. Who I think took Tyler is actually his father. So I guess he technically is the authorities because he's the cop, but I do think that Sheriff Galpin did take Tyler without telling anyone, and we talked about the theory earlier that this is Tyler's mom and that she is still alive. But what if Sheriff Galpin knows this? What if he and his wife decided together that they would keep a close eye on Tyler and for now keep her locked away until they could figure out how to get rid of this Hyde curse, essentially? What if he even has some sort of secret lair somewhere where he can just really do experiments or just try to get everything possible, all of the research done on Hydes and how to get his wife and his son from this curse and essentially make them into normies. What I think is interesting is that I think that Sheriff Galpin definitely sees Wednesday's potential and definitely sees that there is something that that girl has that would be able to figure this out. He knows he can't figure this out alone. He's been trying to do so for many years. So perhaps he sees Wednesday as an opportunity. And I guess that's where it could tie into him being her stalker, but I don't think that that really is necessarily true. But I do think that he is going to have to use Wednesday for help on how to basically expel the Hyde's curse that's on his wife and child. I just feel like Sheriff Galpin knows that if there's anyone who can stop his wife and Tyler from being Hydes, it's Wednesday. I feel like that could be even the premise of the next season, which would be really interesting. The third theory I have about who took Tyler is perhaps that this game is a lot bigger than just Mrs. Thornhill and Tyler. Obviously, we saw Mrs. Thornhill used Tyler to her own gain and as like a personal weapon for her devious plan, but perhaps this goes past Laurel Gates and past Tyler, and that there's a bigger person in the scenario who was kind of orchestrating both of them. And it's interesting because what if whoever is running the show above Laurel Gates and above Tyler is the same person who's after Wednesday? I do think that this is an interesting theory, although the Sheriff Galpin one I think would be more fun for a season, but I don't know. But I'm excited to see what happens next. The next theory I want to talk about is about Xavier. So I think that Xavier connects to Garrett Gates more than any of us would like. As much as I believe that Xavier is the good guy, he clearly has a connection to the Hyde that no one else has, and it is a little concerning. He was able to draw art of not only things that the Hyde saw, but the Hyde itself, and it was just odd. Like, how did he have this knowledge that wasn't really touched on? We need to talk about it because obviously he has some sort of connection. I also think that the resemblance between Garrett Gates and Xavier is way too similar to be a coincidence. So I do believe that Xavier is maybe unaware of this evil connection or his connection to Garrett Gates. I do think that it is probably going to happen in some sort of way, just because why would they make a character look so similar for no reason? They wouldn't. I also think it's an interesting theory that maybe Xavier is the bad guy and is actually Laurel Gates' son. I think that this could be an interesting concept. Obviously he looks a lot like her brother, so maybe it would just be an interesting theory. I hope not, because I want Xavier to be the good guy. I hope regardless of his connection, because I think he does immediately have a connection. I want to know what it is, but I want him to be the good guy in the end. The last theory we're going to be talking about Wednesday is Goody Adams. So I think it's important to note that Morticia actually warned Wednesday about Goody when she told her to be careful because Goody's need for revenge outweighed the goodness in her. Goody, according to Morticia, was too vengeful for her own good, and it ultimately led to her death. The theory goes when Goody passes through Wednesday to heal her, she actually is taking possession of Wednesday's body. I think that this sort of makes sense and maybe will be a concept in season 2, but what a few things that are important to note is one, Goody's smile honestly looked pretty creepy while she was like passing through Wednesday. She was getting another chance to get revenge. What I think is interesting, it's sort of like an inner battle. If you watch Stranger Things, spoiler alert maybe, but like in the early seasons of Stranger Things when like the Mind Flayer went into Will and how he could still feel him, that kind of vibe. Like, she's still Wednesday, she's not Goody. She can feel Goody's presence, maybe just trying to tell her to get revenge on people. I don't know what the premise will be, but I do think that there is going to be something more to that because it seemed like it was just brushed over a little too much. Definitely a potential that she's using Wednesday's body as a vessel to come back and get her revenge. I definitely think that this has some sort of significance, and I'm really excited to see what it is because I just don't think Morticia would say that for no reason and really have her doubts about Goody. So I am excited to see what happens next. I cannot wait for the next season. I'm, like I said, almost positive that there will be a season 2. I would be very surprised if there weren't. I loved it. I thought it was a really great show and they did a great job. Excited for season 2. I want to know what happens next. I binged watched it obviously in like literally a day. and it was super interesting. So I'm very excited to see what comes of season 2. But that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these Wednesday conspiracy theories, and if you have any theories as to what is going to happen in season 2, please let me know below. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you guys later. Bye!